Imagine living in an age so transformative that it shaped the modern world, an era defined by industrial progress, imperial expansion, and cultural change. Welcome to the Victorian era, named after one of history's most iconic monarchs, Queen Victoria. Her name is synonymous with a time of innovation, tradition, and global influence. But who was the woman behind the crown? Today, we'll explore how a young princess became one of Britain's longest-serving and most influential rulers, a monarch whose legacy continues to shape our understanding of leadership, duty, and resilience. Queen Victoria was born Alexandrina Victoria on May 24, 1819, at Kensington Palace in London. She entered the world during a turbulent period for the British monarchy. The Georgian kings, George III, George IV, and later William IV, had left the royal family mired in scandal, extravagance, and declining public trust. Against this backdrop, Victoria's birth offered hope for renewal. Her father, Edward, Duke of Kent, died just 8 months after her birth, leaving her mother, Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld, to raise her alone. To prepare her for potential succession, Victoria's upbringing was heavily controlled under what became known as the Kensington System. This strict regimen, devised by her ambitious mother and her advisor Sir John Conroy, aimed to isolate Victoria from external influences and ensure her dependence on them. The Kensington System dictated nearly every aspect of Victoria's childhood. She was kept away from court life, forbidden from meeting other children her age, and subjected to rigid schedules designed to instill discipline and obedience. Despite these constraints, or perhaps because of them, Victoria developed a strong sense of independence and determination. From an early age, she demonstrated intelligence, curiosity, and a keen awareness of her royal responsibilities. However, her relationship with her mother remained strained due to the oppressive nature of the Kensington System. Victoria harbored resentment toward both her mother and Conroy, viewing their control as stifling and manipulative. In her diary, she often expressed frustration at being treated like a child despite her growing maturity. These experiences would later shape her approach to governance, as she sought to assert her autonomy and break free from undue influence. Victoria's life changed dramatically when she ascended to the throne at the tender age of 18. On June 20, 1837, King William IV passed away, and Victoria became queen. Her first words upon hearing the news were simple yet profound: "I will be good." These 4 words encapsulated her commitment to serving her people with integrity and dedication, a promise she would strive to fulfill throughout her reign. At the time of her ascension, the monarchy faced significant challenges. Public confidence in the institution had waned, and political tensions between Whigs and Tories complicated governance. As a young, inexperienced ruler, Victoria relied heavily on guidance from her first Prime Minister, Lord Melbourne, who became both a mentor and confidant. Under his tutelage, she learned the intricacies of parliamentary politics and gradually earned the respect of her ministers and subjects alike. Lord Melbourne's influence extended beyond politics. He also helped Victoria navigate the social and ceremonial aspect of her role. For example, he coached her on how to conduct herself during audiences with foreign dignitaries and advised her on matters of protocol. Through their close relationship, Victoria gained confidence and began to assert her authority more firmly. By the end of Melbourne's tenure, she had established herself as a capable and conscientious monarch, determined to uphold the dignity of the crown. One of the defining moments of Victoria's life came in 1840, when she married her cousin, Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. Initially arranged for diplomatic purposes, their marriage blossomed into a deep and loving partnership, one that profoundly influenced Victoria's reign. Albert quickly proved himself to be more than just a consort. He was a visionary thinker and reformer, His contributions range from championing scientific advancements to organizing the Great Exhibition of 1851, which showcased innovations from around the globe and celebrated Britain's industrial prowess. Held in Hyde Park's Crystal Palace, the exhibition attracted millions of visitors and symbolized a height of Victorian ambition and achievement. The Great Exhibition was not merely a display of technological marvels. It was a testament to Albert's belief in the power of education and international cooperation. He envisioned the event as a platform for fostering peace and mutual understanding among nations, a noble goal that resonated deeply with Victoria. Together, they worked tirelessly to bring the exhibition to fruition, overcoming skepticism and logistical challenges along the way. When the Crystal Palace opened its doors, it stood as a shining example of what could be achieved through collaboration and ingenuity. Beyond his public endeavors, Albert played a crucial role in shaping Victoria's approach to governance. He encouraged her to adopt a hands-on style of leadership, engaging actively with policy discussions and advocating for social reforms. Together, they worked to modernize the monarchy, emphasizing moral responsibility, education, and philanthropy. For instance, Albert supported efforts to improve working conditions in factories, recognizing the human toll of unchecked industrialization. He also championed educational initiatives, advocating for broader access to schooling and technical training. His progressive ideals complemented Victoria's traditional values, creating a balanced vision for the future of Britain. However, tragedy struck in December 1861, when Albert succumbed to typhoid fever at the age of 42. Devastated by his loss, Victoria withdrew from public life, plunging into a prolonged period of mourning. For decades, she wore black and avoided official appearances, earning criticism from some quarters for neglecting her duties. Yet even in her grief, she continued to correspond with ministers and maintain oversight of state affairs, demonstrating her unwavering dedication to her role as sovereign. Albert's death left an indelible mark on Victoria, both personally and politically. She immortalized his memory through numerous tributes, including construction of the Royal Albert Hall and the erection of statues in his honor. More importantly, she carried forward his legacy by championing causes he had championed, ensuring that his vision for a better society endured long after his passing. Under Queen Victoria's reign, the British Empire reached its zenith, becoming the largest empire in history. At its peak, it spanned continents, encompassing territories in Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Americas. The phrase, "the sun never sets on the British Empire," reflected the vastness of its reach, with colonies contributing wealth, resources, and strategic advantages to the motherland. Victoria's governance style evolved over time, balancing traditional monarchical authority with the realities of constitutional monarchy. While she lacked direct legislative power, she wielded significant influence through her relationships with prime ministers and her ability to sway public opinion. Her reign saw the tenure of 10 different prime ministers, including Benjamin Disraeli and William Gladstone, whose contrasting visions of imperialism and domestic policy often placed Victoria in delicate positions of mediation. Key events during her reign underscored Britain's dominance on the global stage. The Crimean War, 1853 to 1856, fought against Russia, highlighted the complexities of maintaining alliances and defending imperial interests. Meanwhile, the Indian Rebellion of 1857 led to the dissolution of the East India Company and the establishment of direct British rule over India, with Victoria assuming the title of Empress of India in 1876. Domestically, Victoria presided over a period of remarkable transformation. The Industrial Revolution accelerated technological innovation, urbanization, and economic growth, reshaping society in profound ways. Railways connected cities, factories fueled production, and new inventions, from telegraph to sewing machines, revolutionized daily life. Yet alongside these advances came stark inequalities, as workers endured grueling conditions in overcrowded slums. Social reform movements emerged to address these disparities, advocating for better labor laws, education, and women's rights. Throughout these changes, Victoria embodied the dualities of the Victorian era: progress and conservatism, prosperity and poverty, tradition and modernity. Her steadfast adherence to duty and decorum provided a stabilizing presence amid rapid societal shifts, earning her widespread admiration despite occasional controversies. For example, Victoria's support for the abolition of slavery in the British Empire reflected her moral convictions, even as she navigated the complexities of colonial rule. Similarly, her patronage of charitable organizations demonstrated her commitment to improving the lives of those less fortunate. Whether through symbolic gestures or substantive actions, Victoria sought to align herself with the values of compassion and responsibility that defined her era. But Queen Victoria's legacy extends far beyond her reign. Her influence helped shape not just Britain but the entire world, leaving a mark on everything from politics to art to family dynamics across Europe. As we delve deeper into her impact, we'll uncover how her personal choices and public policies reverberated through generations, defining an era that continues to resonate today. Queen Victoria's reign, 1837 to 1901, spanned an era of unprecedented transformation, earning its place in history as a Victorian era, a period marked by industrial progress, social change, and imperial expansion. Her name became synonymous with this age, which shaped the modern world in profound ways. But what exactly defined the Victorian era, and how did Victoria herself influence its character? At its core, the Victorian era was a time of contrasts. On one hand, it celebrated innovation, prosperity, and moral rectitude. The Industrial Revolution brought about technological marvels like the steam engine, telegraph, and sewing machine, revolutionizing transportation, communication, and daily life. Factories sprang up across Britain, fueling economic growth and urbanization. Cities like Manchester and Birmingham became hubs of industry, attracting workers from rural areas and abroad. Yet, alongside these advances came stark inequalities. The rapid pace of industrialization led to overcrowded slums, child labor, and unsafe working conditions. For many, the Victorian era was a tale of two worlds, one of wealth and opportunity, the other of poverty and exploitation. Social reform movements emerged to address these disparities, advocating for better labor laws, education, and healthcare. Figures like Charles Dickens exposed the harsh realities of Victorian society through their writings, while organizations such as the Salvation Army worked tirelessly to alleviate suffering. Victoria herself played a pivotal role in shaping the ethos of the era. As a monarch committed to duty and decorum, she embodied the values of hard work, family, and moral responsibility that defined Victorian culture. Her personal example inspired millions, reinforcing ideals of respectability and self-discipline. She championed causes like temperance, education, and philanthropy, using her platform to promote positive change. However, the Victorian era was also characterized by contradictions. While Victoria promoted traditional gender roles, emphasizing women's duties as wives and mothers, the period saw the rise of feminist movements demanding greater rights and opportunity for women. Similarly, while Britain projected an image of moral superiority abroad, its colonial policies often perpetuated exploitation and oppression. These tensions highlight the complexity of Victoria's legacy, reflecting both the achievements and challenges of her time. One of Queen Victoria's most enduring legacies lies in her role as the grandmother of Europe. Through her 9 children, she forged familial ties that spanned royal houses across the continent, influencing alliances, politics, and even wars. Each of her offspring married into prominent European dynasties, creating a web of connections that reshaped the geopolitical landscape. Her eldest son, Edward VII, succeeded her as King of the United Kingdom, continuing the Windsor lineage. Her daughter Vicky married Frederick III, German Emperor, positioning her grandson Wilhelm II at the center of European power dynamics. Another daughter, Alice, became Grand Duchess of Hesse, while Louise married into British nobility. Perhaps most famously, her granddaughter Alexandra wed Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, linking the British monarchy to the Romanov dynasty. These marriages had far-reaching consequences, particularly during the tumultuous early 20th century. When World War I broke out in 1914, Victoria's descendants found themselves on opposing sides of the conflict. Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany and King George V of Britain, first cousins, were locked in a bitter struggle, underscoring the irony of Victoria's dream of fostering unity through family ties. Despite these divisions, her descendant continued to shape global events long after her death, cementing her status as a matriarch of modern European royalty. Beyond politics, Victoria's emphasis on family values left an indelible mark on societal norms. She presented herself as a devoted wife and mother, setting a standard for domestic life that resonated deeply with her subjects. Portraits of Victoria surrounded by her children conveyed an image of warmth and stability, countering perceptions of the monarchy as distant or aloof. This focus on family helped humanize the crown, making it more relatable to ordinary people. Despite her widespread popularity, Queen Victoria's reign was not without controversy. Critics have pointed to several aspects of her leadership and personal choices that warrant scrutiny, particularly when viewed through a modern lens. One major critique centers on her withdrawal from public life following Prince Albert's death in 1861. For decades, Victoria retreated to private estates like Balmoral and Osborne House, avoiding official appearances and ceremonial duties. While she remained actively involved in governance through correspondence and meetings with ministers, her absence from public view fueled accusations of neglecting her responsibilities. Newspapers and political opponents criticized her for failing to fulfill the symbolic role expected of a constitutional monarch, especially during times of national crisis. Another area of debate involves her stance on imperialism. Under Victoria's reign, the British Empire expanded dramatically, encompassing territories in Africa, Asia, Australia, and beyond. While she embraced the title of Empress of India in 1876, celebrating Britain's global dominance, critics argue that her support for colonialism perpetuated systems of exploitation and inequality. Indigenous populations in colonies often faced brutal treatment, forced labor, and cultural erasure under British rule. Though Victoria occasionally expressed concerns about the welfare of colonized peoples, her actions, and those of her government, rarely aligned with these sentiments. Additionally, Queen Victoria's views on gender roles have sparked mixed reactions over time. On one hand, she stood as a powerful female leader during an era when women were rarely seen in positions of authority, breaking barriers simply by virtue of her reign. On the other hand, she often emphasized traditional ideals, advocating that women's primary role should center around marriage and motherhood. This tension is evident in her relationships with female relatives, whom she sometimes encouraged to prioritize family obligations over personal aspirations. Her own daughters, for instance, navigated conflicting expectations between their royal duties and their individual ambitions, reflecting the broader societal debates about women's roles during the Victorian era. It's important to acknowledge these criticisms while recognizing the broader context of Victoria's reign. No historical figure is perfect, and Victoria herself acknowledged her flaws. What sets her apart is her ability to adapt, learn, and grow throughout her 63-year tenure, a testament to her resilience and dedication to service. Despite her resilience, the passage of time eventually caught up with Victoria. Her final years were a testament to her enduring spirit and the profound impact she left on the world. As Queen Victoria entered the twilight of her life, her reign had already spanned an astonishing 63 years, a record unmatched by any British monarch until Queen Elizabeth II. By the late 19th century, Victoria had become a living symbol of stability and tradition, even as the world around her underwent rapid transformation. Her final years were marked by both personal reflection and public reverence, offering a poignant glimpse into the life of a monarch who had shaped an era. In her later years, Victoria spent much of her time at Osborne House, her beloved retreat on the Isle of Wight. Built in the 1840s as a private family home, Osborne House was a place of solace for the aging queen. Surrounded by memories of Albert and her children, she found comfort in its gardens, sea views, and intimate atmosphere. It was here that she increasingly withdrew from public duties, delegating many responsibilities to her eldest son, Edward, Prince of Wales, later King Edward VII. Despite her physical frailty, Victoria remained deeply engaged with matters of state. She continued to correspond with ministers, advocate for causes close to her heart, and maintain ceremonial roles. Her Diamond Jubilee in 1897, marking 60 years on the throne, was celebrated with grandeur and affection across the empire. Crowds lined the streets to catch a glimpse of their beloved queen, whose resilience and longevity had become a source of national pride. However, Victoria's health began to decline in the early 1900s. Rheumatism plagued her mobility, and cataracts impaired her vision, making daily tasks increasingly difficult. Yet, even in her weakened state, she demonstrated remarkable determination. She insisted on reviewing official documents, receiving visitors, and upholding the dignity of the crown. Her unwavering sense of duty reflected the steadfastness that had defined her entire reign. On January 22, 1901, Queen Victoria passed away at Osborne House, surrounded by her family. Her death marked the end of an era, not just for Britain but for the world. Flags flew at half-mast, and millions mourned the loss of a monarch who had reigned through decades of unprecedented change. Her funeral procession, held on February 2nd, drew representatives from across the globe, underscoring her impact on international affairs. She was laid to rest beside Prince Albert in the Royal Mausoleum at Frogmore, fulfilling her wish to be reunited with the love of her life. Victoria's final words, reportedly Bertie, referring to her son Edward, underscored the deep bonds of family that sustained her throughout her life. Even in her last moments, she remained devoted to those closest to her, a testament to the humanity behind the crown. Her passing left an indelible mark on the British monarchy and the wider world. As the longest-serving monarch of her time, she had witnessed the rise of industrialization, the expansion of the British Empire, and the dawn of modernity. Her legacy, a blend of tradition and progress, would continue to shape the institution of monarchy for generations to come. Queen Victoria's legacy continues to resonate in countless ways, shaping our understanding of leadership, tradition, and progress. Her life offers timeless lessons that remain relevant in today's rapidly changing world. One of her greatest contributions lies in her embodiment of resilience. From overcoming the constraints of the Kensington System to navigating personal tragedies like Albert's death, Victoria demonstrated remarkable strength in the face of adversity. Her ability to persevere despite hardship serves as a powerful reminder that true leadership requires courage and determination. Whether confronting political crises or grappling with personal loss, Victoria never wavered in her commitment to duty, a quality that earned her enduring respect. Her emphasis on moral responsibility also holds relevance today. In an era dominated by consumerism and instant gratification, Victoria's advocacy for hard work, discipline, and compassion provides a refreshing counterpoint. Her patronage of charitable causes and support for social reforms underscored her belief in using privilege to uplift others, a principle that continues to inspire philanthropists and activists worldwide. Moreover, Victoria's influence on art, literature, and culture endures. The Victorian era gave rise to some of history's greatest writers, including Charles Dickens, Jane Austen, and the Bronte sisters, whose works explored themes of morality, class, and identity. Architecture flourished under her reign, with styles like Gothic Revival leaving a lasting imprint on cities around the globe. Even fashion bears traces of Victorian aesthetics, from corsets and crinolines to mourning attire popularized by Victoria herself. On a personal level, Victoria's story reminds us of the importance of balance. She navigated the dualities of tradition and innovation, duty and emotion, public service and private life. Her ability to reconcile these competing forces offers valuable insights for anyone striving to lead authentically in a complex world. Queen Victoria's reign transformed not only Britain but the entire world, leaving a legacy that continues to shape our understanding of history, culture, and leadership. From her early struggles under the Kensington System to her triumphs as Empress of India, she exemplified resilience, adaptability, and unwavering dedication to duty. Her name remains synonymous with an era of progress, tradition, and global influence, an era that laid the foundation for the modern world. As we reflect on her life and legacy, let us remember the lessons she imparted: the value of perseverance in the face of adversity, the importance of moral responsibility, and the power of family and tradition to connect us across generations. Like Victoria, each of us has a potential to leave a lasting impact, not through perfection, but through purposeful action and steadfast commitment. In the words of Queen Victoria herself, we are not interested in the possibilities of defeat. They do not exist. May her story inspire us to embrace challenges with courage, knowing that even the smallest action can ripple through history, shaping the future in ways we may never fully comprehend. Subscribe and welcome to the Empire.